Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with Arwen today because we're going to continue talking about breeding goats. So remember, you should only breed goats if you have a plan. You should only breed goats if you know what you're going to do with the babies, or you're going to end up overrun with babies. So let's talk about choosing your breeding stock. Let's assume you know why you want babies. You know what you're going to do with the babies. You have a plan. How do you go about getting good breeding stock? And Shafak gonna bite me. Chomper. So how do you go about getting decent breeding stock for your goats? Okay. So you want to start with what you actually want, not with what is cheapest. Okay? What is cheapest is never going to work out. You don't go to an auction and buy the cheapest goat you can get and expect to get quality babies out of it. So start with what you know your goals are and get the best stock you can afford that aligns with those goals. Okay? You want to, we're just going to go over this way. I'm going to not stand over there anymore. But there's Mira. But you want to make sure you're getting the best breeding stock you can afford. And you want to get stock that aligns with your goals. If you want dairy goats, don't get a meat goat just because it's cheaper. Get an appropriate dairy line. Remember that most of the qualities that the parents have are going to be passed down to the babies. So you definitely want to make sure that the parents have qualities that you find attractive. If you want quality babies, start with quality adults. He's coming. He's just filling a bucket. We're excited because Tristan's bringing water. There's water coming. Oh no. The ducks heard. The ducks are nuts. So you want to start with the best you can afford. Okay? Do your homework, be clear about your goals, and buy stock from breeders who keep records about their health, their pedigree, and their production if they are dairy or meat goats. You also want to see the milking records. Any decent breeder of dairy goats will have milking records. They'll be able to tell you what kind of milk production mama has. A meat goat breeder will be able to tell you the weight of goats at slaughter. Everybody will know the answers to these questions if they're a decent breeder. Okay, they'll know the weight of their live goats at the time of sale. Like, I can tell you how much she weighs. Not a ton, but she weighs a little. She's a very little goat. She weighs about what whiskey weighs, to be honest. She's little. And we're having some water now. It's a cold day. It's a cold day. So we're having some water, and it's a cold day. There's a pony coming too. Ducks are very excited. Anyway. Duck, 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 duck. I know. It's duck, duck. So, you want to get goats from a disease-free herd. Okay? She's disease-free, and I can prove it if people need to know. I can prove it. So, if I were selling her, I would have no problem producing test results from a qualified veterinarian that indicate that she is, there's chickens, that she is indeed a clean, healthy goat. I have no problem proving that. Any breeder who has a clean herd will be able to prove it. Otherwise, it's not a clean herd if you can't prove it. There's chicken coming. So definitely ask about medical records. If the herd is disease-free, you should be able to tell. They should be able to show you. It is best to start with adults. I get asked adults or babies all the time. Honestly, if you're getting into breeding goats, you probably want to start with proven adults. Thank you for the kisses. But you probably want to start with proven adults. Adults that have had babies before. That's actually important because then you know that you're starting with a fertile breeding pair. You don't necessarily want to start with babies. It's fine to start with babies. That's actually my preference. But if you're new to goats, you might want to start with adults so that you can kind of get a head start and kind of learn from experienced adult goats instead of having to deal with babies right off the hop. Okay? It's just a good idea. However, if you've got your heart set on babies, raise the babies up to be what you want them to be. Okay? There's Houdini. And there's Jabba. Jabba's a pretty guy. Whatever's happening in there, I don't want to know about it. We're not going to worry about it. If you're getting dairy goats, look at the udder of the parent, of the mama of the females and the males you're getting. Okay? The buck's mama matters too, because udder quality is hereditary. So make sure you are looking at those udders of the goats in that young goat's line so that you can see, do they all have really good udders? Especially if you're getting babies, because you won't have, a baby doesn't really have much of an udder yet. You can't really compare quality at that age. So look at the parents. Look at the mamas, the mama and the grandma of the parents. So see if it's working for them. See if it's running in their line. A good udder matters. Okay? It really matters. If you want multiples, so you want to have twins or triplets every time, look for a group of goats that produces twins and triplets. That tends to be hereditary as well. So typically, if your goat produces twins, they'll usually produce twins. Okay, so check that as well, because that matters. That's hereditary. If you only want twins, don't buy from a line that produces a lot of triplets, because triplets can sometimes mean you have to pull a baby and bottle feed, and you may not want to bottle feed. And that's okay to make that decision. So then you probably don't want triplets or quads. You probably want to stick with your singletons or your twins, because then you generally don't have to pull them and bottle feed. So if you don't want to bottle feed, maybe stick to that. But if you do want triplets and quads, then look for a line that produces a lot of triplets and quads when you're buying your females and your males. Okay? It is hereditary and often repeats. So it's a good idea to pick goats that have the traits you want, like the number of babies, like good udder quality, like all of that stuff. Consider an older goat. I'm not talking 10. That's too old to breed generally. But if you can get a mama goat that is 5 or 6 and has done this before, has raised babies before, your life will be easier. Especially if you don't have, yeah, you're a little excited. When she gets excited, her legs stiffen because she's a fainter. But it is a good idea to get a slightly older goat, 5 or 6, and one that's had a couple rounds of babies. They already know what's going on. Okay, they don't have a problem. They already get it. They have figured out how to raise babies. They are not confused by raising babies. So you will not have as much of a problem with them. And while you're learning, they're not. They're kind of teaching you. So they are teaching you how to have baby goats because they already know. So it is a good idea, if you can, to start with an experienced mama goat. She can show you the ropes, and then later on get a younger goat who hasn't had babies before, because at least that way somebody knows what they're doing. If you've never done it before, you kind of want someone who knows what they're doing in the form of the goat mama. The goat mama has got this if she's done it before. So that is also a good idea, and there is duck nonsense happening in there. Duck nonsense. Yeah, duck nonsense, sweetie. So an older goat can be worth her weight in gold. Okay? And when you are picking your breeding goats, health. Health, health, health. They need to be in good health. They need to be strong and hardy. And you don't want to have to worry too much about them. Here comes Chicken. Were you in a fight? Well, stop fighting with him. He beats the snot out of you every dang time. Stop picking fights. Yeah. Stop it. Stupid chicken. Anyway. Health is the overriding thing you want to focus on. Okay? You absolutely want the healthiest goats you can find. You don't want goats that you have to treat for something, because you don't know if that treatment or the illness itself has affected their fertility. And if you're getting into breeding goats, fertility matters. You don't want a mama who can't have babies, because that's not going to work out for you. So absolutely, there's turkey. Absolutely, you want to make sure that you are getting goats that are healthy and hardy. Anyway, that is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. DK's coming to join us. We will see you tomorrow. Duck, duck, duck.